Welcome back to the Speaking of Startups podcast. Today we're welcoming Joel from Linxy into our newfound home studio at a great little location, kind of becoming the hub of entrepreneurship here in Charlotte. So it's great to welcome a entrepreneur to the studio. So Joel, thanks so much for joining us today, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, William.
So as you know, we like to get started off with a little bit of the founder. We'll pivot a portion of the way into the podcast, and we'll talk a little bit about the company and what you're doing and everything else. But give everybody kind of a 30, 60-second elevator pitch on Joel.
Yeah, I grew up in Ohio, moved to Charlotte like 15 years ago to start my business career.
Is there a direct train from Ohio to Charlotte? It seems like it, doesn't it?
The route is pretty fluid, I'll say that, definitely. Yeah, moved down here right after college, motivated to start my first company with a unique opportunity that I got. And I've been here 16 years, which was not really the plan to start, but love Charlotte so much. And now on my fifth company, it's been quite the journey, and I'm super excited for what we are building right now with Linxy.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you've got a cool, unique background, right? I mean, as you said, kind of fifth company. You've been involved with entrepreneurship for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it about entrepreneurship that grabbed you from a young age?
Yeah, gosh, when I was like 15 years old, I started my own lawn care business, and that was like my first business of, I grew up with a ton of discipline and responsibility and hard work, which is one thing my dad really, instilled in all of us. And having the ability, seeing him work for an employer for so long really motivated me to want to become my own business owner. And I got into college and had the opportunity to learn how to start my own company through a program, Young Entrepreneurs Across America. And it really lit up my world, all the skills that I learned from, sports and leadership in sports, carrying that into business and building teams and leading teams. And it really inspired me from about the age of 21 to want to be an entrepreneur and solve problems and build teams and lead teams effectively.
How active were you in sports as a kid?
Oh, sports was everything. Most people actually, as much as I've been an entrepreneur for 15, 16 years, more people know me as an athlete. I grew up as like a 3-sport athlete, played baseball in college, and still play competitive basketball, which I call competitive at my age. And yeah, it's motivated me to like how to keep my body in shape to stay an athlete, because it's, besides the entrepreneur bug that I got, like sports and playing sports is really my passion.
Yeah. What something we had as our last guest was Chance. Chance was basketball player at Radford. You played baseball in college?
Yes, and I played a lot of basketball with Chance, actually.
So we'll put you on the spot really quick. Who's better?
Ooh, today probably me. Who hit the highest peak? I would think he did, for sure.
That's awesome. So what's and I think it's discipline, right? But sports in college, what is it about sports in college that translates so well into the entrepreneurship world?
Yeah, having something you're striving for, you're passionate about, having the hard work and discipline that is instilled through sports, as well as the leadership. To me, like, of all the things that I gained through sports, had to be leadership, confidence, work ethic, discipline, and all those carry over into entrepreneurship and building a company and a team, very fluidly. So
4 years of baseball in college?
4 years of baseball. Yep.
Okay. Undergrad, what was the study? What'd you major in?
I was not necessarily a school person. I was kind of like your B student, get by. And I went to college and I didn't know what to do. I was really good at math and science.
Yeah.
And I went to college as a math major. And after a year, I was like, after calculus 1 and 2 and chaos and fractals and some excelled physics classes, I was like, what am I doing with this? Like, yes, this is fascinating and interesting, but what am I doing with this?
Yeah.
And that's where I got involved in this entrepreneur program.
Okay.
And I got this like business entrepreneur bug, and I transitioned to the business school and studied everything business, but still the experience, even though I went to a really good university, Wittenberg University, shout out, It's a good private school up in Ohio. The experience that I got from running a business for 2.5 years in college was really the ultimate business learnings that I took away from university.
Yeah. So not difficult enough to play baseball in college. You started a business in college as well.
Yeah, and it wasn't my coach. I got a pretty good scholarship, but I was still like paying my way through school. And my parents were like, "Man, you decided to go to a pretty expensive school, even though you got a scholarship." And my parents were like, "You need to make some money while you're here." I had self-funded my own university wages, and my jobs at that point, I was making like $10 an hour for all the jobs that I was picking up. And then all of a sudden, my parents are like, "How, you're going to come out of college with some debt, even though you've got these scholarships and these grants." And I came back my sophomore year and started looking for internships. Like, man, I've really got to get experience and understand where I'm going with my life. And through this business experience, my first summer I made $12,000 running my business, and I was like, "Holy cow, that's like 4 times as much as I made last summer." And I like led employees and built this team and this company, and it changed everything. And the next summer I came back and made more money. And then I started training college students to run their own business, more for the experience. And, that's really where it like triggered a lot for me, the financials of it, and seeing like, man, if you can really like build something and provide jobs and learn how to earn a profit, it really captured me. And that's, I got out of college and read like every business book I could possibly read. I started getting into personal development, and really in my 20s is just where like learning business, just really, really captured me.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I've never really dove into this, so we're going to kind of tinker around with this concept. But you're running a business in school. You make $12,000 over the course of the summer, which is great as a college kid, right? You learn all kinds of things, real world practicality applications of running a business.
Yep.
And then you go back to school and you dive into textbook application of running a business. At that age, was it a letdown?
Yeah, it really was. It was, you're building this company, you're hiring your friends, you're on the bus home from a baseball game, taking calls from customers, and your friends are like, "Dude, can you hire me? Like, can you give me a job?" And, you're doing these creative deals with your friends, working for $10 to $15 an hour for your business, getting experience. And then you're like, "Man, how do I lead these guys effectively? I've got to know contracts now and all these things." Then I'm sitting in a marketing class and an accounting class, which some of those financial classes are important in college, but learning management and leadership, you can't learn that from reading a book and textbook and talking to a professor. But what you can really learn is doing it from experience and failing. And the amount of failures I had through that first summer and that second summer is really the experiences and the learning that I took away from university.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So you finished school despite the letdown of going to class while running a business, right?
Yep.
And did you pursue baseball at all? Did we go in and we play single A or double A, or what do we do with baseball post school?
It's definitely something that I still think about. My coach is like, "Hey man, you actually got these like unique skills that could translate well and go further." And I had my cousin, in the minors for a couple years, and watching him, what he went through to make like little to no money in the grind. And I went to like a showcase my senior year, and it was like the people that wanted it, to be really frank, I was like going up against like 80% of the people there were like Dominicans or people that wanted to get like their green card, and they were hungry. And I was just like, man, this is like kind of intense. Do I want to like push myself through the minors to try to make it to the majors? Is that even like achievable? And I had this like entrepreneur bug, and I really was just like, man, I think I'm done with baseball. And I went all in on business, and I passed up some jobs that I got out of college and moved to the Carolinas to start a business. But I've always thought about it. Like, I always had this like unique talent as an athlete. My grandpa was a great athlete, and I always look back and like, I wonder why I didn't kind of try. Obviously I had the entrepreneur bug, but I kind of had this like belief now, at least now I have this belief of like, why was I never motivated to like go all in on that sport to see what I could do after college? Not that it's a regret, because I love where I'm at. I love everything that we're building, but it has always been something. It's just like, man, when I was 22, why didn't I like really at least give it 1 year maybe?
Yeah, it's funny. We're always better in our head looking backwards, right? Like 22, oh man, that was amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And I grew up like, I got a lot of things from my parents and my father. But one thing I never learned, and which is kind of why I ended up writing a book. I got into like mental frameworks and mental models and like human performance and optimal performance. And once I started instilling those into my life, I realized like, oh my gosh, like I'm uncovering all these potentials and talent or skills that I can like unlock. And that's where it really started to, I started to think about the different things in my life that, man, I could have done better, or I could have, had a better approach to things and had a better outcome or a better performance. And that's just one thing I've always thought of with baseball. Who knows if I would have ever made it past even, the Pioneer League,
Yeah.
which to even get to single A. And so but it's always been a thought of mine because I love sports so much, playing sports more than watching sports. But yeah.
So you come out of school, baseball is not the chosen path, right? Entrepreneurship's the chosen path, which is a great lifelong opportunity, whereas baseball is going to be a limited opportunity, right?
Yep.
And what do we tackle? What's the first thing on like what do you do coming out of school?
Yeah, I took an extra few months over the summer to really like interview with as many companies as I can. And I looked at medical sales. I was offered several jobs in like sales leadership, sales consulting, different sales jobs. And this program that I worked with in college, Young Entrepreneurs Across America, was such an impactful company for me because you're with a bunch of other young, hungry students that want to learn how to run a business in college. And the ones that succeed, you go on this yearly trip. And so I get out of college and they offer me a full-time position to move to one of their territories that they want to expand to as like a new franchise territory. And one of those territories was the Carolinas. And for me, living in Ohio, I wanted to like kind of escape and like explore the world and move to a little bit warmer weather and experience some different lifestyles. And growing up one of 8 kids in a big family, we didn't take a ton of vacations and get away as much as we should. So I had this bug to get away and explore and adventure, and it brought me to the Carolinas. And I did a tour of the Carolinas. I went to 7 different cities, and I had such fun in Charlotte that I skipped my last city and came back to Charlotte for 2 days on that road trip. And I was like, I'm moving to Charlotte and I'm going to start this new division of Young Entrepreneurs Across America. And I called the owner and I'm like, I'm in, let's go. And so I moved here, and from scratch, I built a new division, and I started working with universities. My first 2 universities that I worked with were UNC Chapel Hill and USC, excuse me, in South Carolina, the Darla Moore School of Business. And they gave me an opportunity to work with a few students to see what my ability was to train college students how to run their own business, which some universities were like, who the heck are you, some 23-year-olds? You're going to train our students how to run a business? And obviously I had the whole company and the program behind me to support, my training mechanisms and my training performance. And yeah, I started the first year and our goal was to run a $500,000 business, and we did 380,000 in the first year. So we didn't hit our mark, and we came back. And by the time I left, we did, $3 million in revenue. And all that revenue was from college students running businesses. So really it was, this student did 80,000, this student did 120,000, this student did 50,000. And all the students, from that 7 years of building, building the division of the Carolinas and a little bit Virginia and Atlanta or Georgia, we worked with 12 different universities. By the time I left, there was like 12 universities that were opening the door, their business school, their career center, saying, can you train like the right type of students at our university that want to learn how to run a business? And so it was so rewarding and such a great way to like start a career. Is like, if you have to teach something, you really have to know it. Yeah. And coming out of college, I thought I knew it because I ran this business in college, but it was like we're talking like an $80,000-$100,000 business, and then learning to teach that. And, I was really motivated that's where I got into deep studies of business, to read every business book I could, personal development. Holy cow. Now I've got to start training these young people how to, instill the right habits and develop the right mindset. And so that was like my first 7 years out of college, and is really growing that program, even though I started getting involved in some other consulting programs and helping other companies with consulting. I really cut my teeth in this, coaching young entrepreneurs or wantrepreneurs, dealing with the kids that want to be entrepreneurs but don't really want to put in the work, is my term for wantrepreneurs, and learning how to hire the right talent and look for those type of hungry but also inspired young people that are willing to put in the work. was a really interesting way to start the career for sure.
That'd be like a neat full circle moment too, right? Because you were in school, you had your business, you were going to classes. Again, we go back to kind of sort of a letdown on the textbook side of application of business work, but then you're back in the schools helping those entrepreneurs kind of grind through and understand the real life applications of what they're doing and how they build an actual business outside of the textbook, right? So a way for you almost to contribute back to yourself as a college kid, but obviously you're not there anymore, but you're helping other folks have a smoother ride than what you had as a college age entrepreneur. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's an experience I'll never forget. And, that group, over that 7 years, I trained, 400 college students to run their own business. 250 of them successfully opened their first company and had a ride of a lifetime. And some of them probably had tears at times, and the challenge was real, and employees quitting, and I can't find new employees, and customers really mad at me, Joel, like, can you help me with this situation? But the experience that all of them leave with is like, oh my gosh, like, I know what it feels like to like run a business now and the challenges. And I have this unique confidence, which is like this pure confidence of, I want to start a business and I know how to do it. I've just got to like take the first step. Like I've got to put in action and have somewhat of a plan, ideally, and then just start and figure it out.
Yeah. So you mentioned a couple of times as we're kind of going back and forth on, young entrepreneurs across America, as well as being in school, probably always in you because you played baseball, you were into fitness, you were into personal development and everything else. But at what point in time did you come up or realize that you wanted to write a book?
It's kind of funny. I think most people from my high school would be like, what, or at the time they're like, wait, Joel's writing a book? Yeah. Like Joel was the one that wasn't the one that was inspired to read books in high school. And so just being out of the classroom and applying it really like turned on this curious mind for me. And I probably became my most curious in my late 20s. And as I was, to transition the young entrepreneurs, as I started working with different companies, I built this company, Fortune 5 Consulting, and I was flipping houses as well on the side. And I was like getting my hands into some different things. And I just got really curious about human performance. I was working with some different entrepreneurs and CEOs, and I started to like understand that my habits weren't where they needed to be to unlock like certain, like biohacking and neurohacking is like the realm that like I stepped into. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much that I don't know. Like, and I used to think I knew a lot at that age. And then now my number one belief is I don't know more than I do know. Like the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. And so as I like got to that place, I'm like, man, what don't I know about human performance? And, my athletic career was, starting to hit a certain age when your body doesn't respond the same. And I'm like, how do I keep this like going as long as possible, as well as coach entrepreneurs, as well as elevate my performance and turn on creativity? Why can't I like create my own products? I'm just like starting businesses that already exist. Like, how can I create products and invent and innovate? And all these things like kind of came to me within like a year or two, and I started studying it deeply and then talking to people about it. And they're like, man, you should really put this on social media. You're not very active on social media. And so I started like studying it and writing. And the big bug that got me is to become really intelligent at these things and to really learn them, you want to write them. And so as I learned from some very smart people that have written books and have elevated their human performance, becoming a great writer became one of my biggest goals that I, discovered in my life. And I was just like, all right, I'm not a very good writer. I need to become a better writer, especially if I'm going to start posting on social. And as I started writing for, 2 years and studying like 100 different books on different sciences of, gut health and brain performance and memory and unlocking creative skills and anti-aging and manifestation and authenticity and all the powers that are like superpowers that God gave us that we have the ability to unlock. The more I started learning, the more I started realizing that some of these like very strong wisdoms were like suppressed amongst the lay people. And it really got me curious of like, man, what are we eating? Like what is in our foods? And And not to go down that road on this podcast, but looking at the system and looking at what the average person consumes, and man, I was drinking alcohol and how that was affecting my gut health, my brain performance, my sleep, my recovery of sports. As I started to change things, my curiosity just kept on growing, and I couldn't stop the interest in uncovering, man, what don't I know? And what has really been like not hidden from me, or what haven't I found yet? And some of it I believe is hidden from the average person, and other things you just have to be curious enough and diligent enough of how to find it. And yeah, over that like 5-year period, like 2 of it was like writing and learning how to write. And then I was just like, man, what if people are like started talking, you should start a podcast, or you should put this in some type of content, start a blog or write a book. And I was just like, you know what a good challenge. As I was like coaching, I was running my company, Fortune 5 Consulting, and working with a couple different companies to build teams and help scale their companies. I started like 90% of my mornings for like 2.5 years straight, writing for an hour to an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
And then I like built the framework of a book. So I had all this content. I built the framework of the book, and it's kind of like a momentum manual is kind of how I look at the book, is how you piece these inputs together to create the output that you desire. And human performance today still is like my number one most fascinating topic, because it's like what you allow yourself to be capable of really exposes you to so many different things. And we only get one life that we know of, and you might as well make the most of it. And so the further I've gone down that path, the more that I've been able to experience. And so it's like, why stop? Just keep doubling down. And maybe a little bit more of an answer than you were looking for with that question, but
yeah. Now all of a sudden I feel bad about that chocolate ice cream dipped from Dairy Queen last night. I feel like maybe I should have passed on that. But anyways, name of the book is
Capability Fuel.
Okay.
So think of human capabilities, the capabilities that we possess, and there's certain capabilities that humans have that we can evolve. And if you learn how to fuel them effectively, you can maximize the trajectory of the evolution of those capabilities.
Okay. Assume it's on Amazon, or is it on your own
Yes,
website?
Amazon.
Or?
Amazon on my website as well, but
Okay.
It still brings you to Amazon. So Amazon's the only place you can really purchase it.
Okay, awesome. So go out and buy Capability Fuel and pick up a little bit more knowledge from Joel. So at some point along the way, Joel, helping other people with entrepreneurship, helping other companies with entrepreneurship, building teams, scaling, et cetera, starts to run dry, I guess, and you kind of re-enter I want to build something, a product or a concept of my own. So at what point in time does Linxy start to creep into the mind and start to take a life of its own?
Yeah. It was probably 2017, 18, 19, like the combo of those years, working with these different companies, going to networking events, sending sales teams to large conferences and networking events. I saw like a common theme with all these event softwares is there was a really big gap. Like clearly there's overwhelming number of event softwares out there. You've got the Hoovas of the world, that I've used at all these different conferences, that you download the app, you leave the conference, and you delete the app, and all of them get you to the event, and they tell you like which companies are there. But there was no software out there that was like facilitating real-time connections and interactions, and especially none of them doing it in a fun, safe, powerful way. And so through that time of being at all these conferences, I kept downloading these different apps and being like, why is there nothing out there? And then I'm traveling to all these cities and working in different coffee shops. And I'm like, I'm sure there's people around me that I could have like great conversations with, but I've got no situational awareness. I've got no social power like in this setting, besides to maybe walk up to somebody and start engaging. And then you got this small talk that you got to go through to maybe uncover like a good connection. And so over like 2017 to 20, I really started to like work on this idea as I was like, still writing my book. I released my book in 2021 during the height of the pandemic, when people really did need human performance and health metrics and habits. But, right before the pandemic started, I had my first prototype built and we were like testing. And then all of a sudden the pandemic hit, and I was like, well, this isn't a really good time to release a real-time interactions application for events. So I kind of like put it on the back burner and focused on my other business and released my book and invented this other product, which took me down like a 2-year journey of patenting and all of that. But this product was still like on the back burner. I was working it, and I built another prototype and tested it. And people in Charlotte were like, dude, we really want that app. Like, can you build it for like the bar scene and the coffee shops and co-working? And there was like, people were giving me different ideas. And at one point we even tested like a dating app for bars. And I was just like, we're not going that route. And so I realized quickly what people want the most is they want to find real-time connections at events, at networking events, like at coffee shops, especially in this new like remote world. And people are wanting connection. There's like this real thirst for human connection. And I've always been a huge people person, leading people and very close with, I just like really like people.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in what people have to offer, their thoughts, their ideas, collaborating with people, partnering with people. I've had like 15 business partners in my life. And I was like, why is there no software out there that can connect people at a coffee shop? And then you go to an event and you don't delete the app. You keep the app and you use it as you travel to different places, like a universal connection app. And I realized like, man, Pokemon Go and this location-based entertainment, has proved that there's interest in like location-based entertainment. And then you got this software, event software, that I feel is like really falling short. If you can kind of combine the two, to me, there's a huge missing, opportunity in the marketplace, a huge gap that I continue to look at and study for years on years. And then I put my money where my mouth is, and literally my money deep into this product. And yeah, we're really excited to launch in 2 weeks. So it's very exciting.
That's awesome. So give us the elevator pitch on Linxy then, right? Like what's the crisp version of what the product does?
Yeah. Linxy is you download the app, you go to locations, whether it's an event, a small networking event, a large conference, coffee shops, and you activate yourself. You check into the location, you go live, and there's a real-time like platform that you activate yourself to, and the business has the ability to communicate with their customers and create unique experiences, and the users have the ability to connect to other people around them in a safe, playful way of like connecting with interest, connecting through curiosities. And so Linxy's goal is to really like bridge the gap between the digital world that we live in and real-time connections that people desire. And, we have this small talk. We don't know who is approachable in real time. And Linxy really bridges that gap. It gives the businesses the ability to create experiences for their customers, and it gives the individuals the ability to go to those locations and create experiences and connections with people that they desire to connect with.
Okay, so you're a baseball player, you're an author, you're a coach, and you also code?
I do not code.
Okay.
I have done some Udemy and some other code classes, but I went through an accelerator last year in Austin, Texas, as I was like, had a couple prototypes and, I had some data, and I found my first like co-founder-esque tech writer that was also interested in this. And then I got connected to a really good tech advisor who joined the team, and then another tech advisor who really liked my idea and what my vision was. And they helped me slightly kind of uncover this co-founder here in Charlotte, tech co-founder. And he helped me with the first 9 months, really like build out the framework, the architecture of the product, and understand the project management of developing software and understanding the tech stack that we wanted to facilitate these real-time interactions, as well as the future of Linxy, which has a large location-based entertainment and business services platform tied to it. And so through that process over the last year, I've just really learned how to work with and lead the technical build. And now we've got 4 engineers on the team, and yeah, we're really excited.
That's awesome. So you've got this idea, you develop it pre-COVID, COVID hits, obviously anything in person starting in March of 2020 really went into shutdown mode. You use that to fine tune the book, launch the book, finish up some other things that you're doing. and then you go to your accelerator program in 2023, and that's where you find your co-founder. Heads down from what, the beginning of 2023 through the end of 2023. When do you launch your beta?
Beta was launched on December 15th, 2023.
Okay, so most of 2023 was spent developing the product. What was the beta like? What'd y'all learn through that process of the beta launch, right? What was the feedback and everything else that has enhanced and improved the product to continue to march forward?
Yeah, I learned what bugs were, and we did several test events from August to December, but December was really when our first like product came out that we were testing with users at one of our local partners, Giddy Goat, shout out, and we started like testing at different locations and talking to businesses. And as we were talking to businesses, we uncovered that, man, these businesses really want a platform to create these pop-up experiences. And so through testing that for them and getting their feedback of what they want, as well as the users, the experience of, wanting to develop all these features for all these businesses, first of all, is you got to really choose which ones you want to build. And building our first basic product with our beta, I learned, one, how long it takes to actually build a feature and test it and go through the quality assurance of making sure that it works and staging to production. But yeah, we had bugs. We got a ton of feedback from the businesses and the users. And one thing was very evident. The businesses were very intrigued and the users loved what we were offering to them, like for connecting to people in real time, like a unique way, kind of like a new standard of human connection of you can walk into a place and know that somebody's safe and how you align with them. And one of our events that on December 15th, that first like beta event, what I learned is I saw like multiple people connect for the first time. And within 60 seconds, they were talking about brown belts, black belts, combat sports. There was no small talk for several of these conversations. Even the bartender at the Giddy Goat event was talking about, oh my gosh, like I've actually connected with several people. They come up and now I actually know, and we got into like some deep conversations, like really quick. Within like 2 minutes, I'm serving their drink and we had like a great conversation about running and the training that goes in to become a great runner. And so it was really cool to like get that feedback. And obviously some of the feedback, like I said, was bugs and the performance wasn't there and the real-time application, wasn't fully flushed out of like checking into the location and exiting the user right away. And so just learning the intricacies of tech and how one line of code can, break your whole application. So we've gone through breaking the app intentionally, accidentally, and so it's been a storm of learning, no doubt.
Super huge, cool like rush that you're going through at that moment in time, right? Seeing the real time benefit of what you've created, and then at the same time it's like this crushing defeat, like the bug, but knowing that, hey, if we can eliminate these bugs, if we can eliminate some of these hurdles, then it's got real opportunity. It's got real runway to get out there and impact people as they go out into the world again and meet folks at these conferences. So it's got to be a really cool feeling, right?
Awesome feeling. It's been one of the most rewarding, challenging journeys, all packed into one. It's like exhilarating. I wake up every morning and I'm like ready to go with the team but yeah, the challenges are real and you got to keep your habits right. You got to keep your cool, and you've got to continue to figure out how to solve these with the engineers. Like, how do we solve this bug that's, impacting the quality of the product? And the goal was to have launched already. We were hoping to have launched in January. That was the intention. As of like November 1st is like, holy cow, we can launch in January. But, we're nearly 2 months behind the launch from learning the intricacies of some of these things, but also changing our product a little bit through the testing and realizing what the businesses were really looking for. And as we started learning more about the business and tailoring the product for the business for our B2B product, it kind of changed our launch plan a little bit. And obviously the runway extended a little bit as we like altered a feature for the business.
Does your life up to this point in time, like, I mean, you were a college athlete, you're you're a fitness person, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're still very active. You wrote a book on like biohacking and all of these different things. And so does that all help you with the fact that you're behind target, but knowing that you're still on goal, right? Do you get the
Yeah.
question? Like,
Yeah, it's a good question.
like you say, oh, we missed it, but at the same time, it's not that far away, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like I don't know, you went for a deadlift of, 500 pounds and you hit
I wish.
495, but
Yeah.
whatever. You're just on the other side. You're right there on the cusp of it. It's not
Yeah.
like you're stuck at 400 trying to get to 500,
Yep.
right? Does that help?
Oh, I mean, all the experience that I've had in failing through all these new things, whether it was flipping my first house or writing a book and thinking that it was going to be a little bit quicker than it was, or building the company to my first company to $1 million took 3.5 years compared to 2 years, which was the goal. It's if this was my first software company, I assure you we would probably be a little bit further ahead.
Yeah.
But learning this and being a little bit depending on the engineers and not having, bootstrapping it myself and doing it like slow and meticulous compared to like as fast as we can. There was a ton of studying with it. And so, yes, I want to hit deadlines. It's so important to hit targets like through my sales and revenue career of building companies. Like hitting your targets are extremely important, but sometimes things don't always go the way you want them to. And especially in technology, especially when you're in something new and you're all learning how to build something innovative that's hasn't been quite built before. There's been a ton of learning experiences, and I know they're only going to continue. Like just a couple of the meetings I have this afternoon, we're going into these meetings problem solving and hoping to come up with a solution to stay on track for what we're hoping to accomplish. So I think all of that, all the failures that I've had have definitely prepared me to learn how to fail and then just keep going and just keep going and then just get back up the next day and just how do you get closer, how do you take action and get closer to accomplishing your goal and stay on track and keep the team on track. And so, yeah, hopefully I answered that
Yeah.
properly.
No, it's great. I mean, I love the failure piece, right? Long-time listeners will know this story. I've probably told it too many times on the podcast, but I'm going to tell it again. I've got a garage gym in my house, in my garage, and in that we've got a whiteboard. We've got like a squat rack and bench and all of these different things set up in there. And the whiteboard is there for tracking our benchmarks, right? It's just some benchmark weights that we do and then some benchmark workouts that we do so we can tell whether or not we're getting better. We mostly do, right? But we have setbacks and everything else. But at the very top of the whiteboard, I wrote something for my kids probably 4 or 5 years ago on it. And it's failure creates strength, right? So failure is so powerful if you let it, right? Like you don't get stronger without failing in those moments, right? And so it's such a key component of anything in life is embracing failure, and then how do you grow through that failure on the other side of it?
Yeah, it's very similar to, human performance. I mean, it is human performance, really. When you think about like pushing your body, how far you push your body, how far you push your mind, as long as you have the recovery and the response time to yourself to heal and grow and assess and then take that information and then use it for the next day or the next activity or the next pursuit. That is the process of growing.
Yeah.
And so I love that quote. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So anyway, 2023 was all about bugs, launching, beta, growing, testing, failure, more testing, more failure. 2024 is the new year, right? Here we are. It's February 23rd. Gosh knows, I can't believe it's almost March. What's 2024 for Linxy? What's 2024 for Joel, right? Like how are we going to tackle this year?
Yeah, we are so focused on our current business partners, customers, our first ones, our first events that we're focused on in April and May. We've got our first opportunities with this new product, and these businesses are excited, and we're excited to offer it to them. User acquisition is something we will be extremely focused on in about 2 weeks as we launch. We have a really good plan. Our team is so dynamic, which I'm so excited about the team that we've built. If there's one thing that I've captured through my years of building companies, it's building a culture and building a dynamic team. And going into 2024, I almost had, as much as I started with the business customers, I have to start with the team, because piecing this team together almost 1 month, almost each month I brought on a new piece to the team.
Yeah.
And it was a strategic piece, whether it was, in marketing or design or UX or another engineer or an entrepreneur, another advisor. And piecing this team together has really generated so much momentum. And now, the collaboration amongst the team to be able to provide the results that we have forecasted for this year, setting that team up and being part of that team is so exhilarating. Like, I love teams. I love building teams. I love leading teams. And this is a unique one because all my past teams, I was building mostly companies that had already existed. And this is kind of like one of my two innovations besides my book. And my other innovation was pretty much me by myself, as well as I had a little bit of help from a local entrepreneur that is very profound in the Charlotte arena. But besides that, this is like a team and everybody's got their own spice. And, I did 7 interviews this week for, we're hiring 1 or 2 more people in the coming weeks, strategic pieces. And so user acquisition, the focus for 2024 is like launch in 2 weeks. We launch on March 7th. We have our first event. We have an event on March 8th. We have an event on March 10th. We have several events scheduled shortly after that. And so the goal is like user success. We want business success. We want to provide our first customers with the experience that they believe that we can offer, and we want to exceed their expectations. And right now we have a ton of interest from users. We're getting users to download. We're not even trying to market yet. And people are already like starting to download this. We're trying to get our product like flushed out because sometimes you only get one chance with people.
Yeah.
But the intrigue right now, we even have this like little pop-up test event on Saturday, tomorrow. And, we've got like it started with 10 people and we've already got like 25 people coming and people like already downloading the app. And it's a little bit early for user acquisition. We're not even quite ready, but we've got to be ready by March 7th. And so now it's like, how do we give the users the experience that they desire? And that's part giving the business. And so it's a little bit of a network effect, is giving the business and the individuals the experience that they came to Linxy for.
Yeah.
And that's something I take a lot of pride in, is delivering, being authentic to what you say you're, offering, and giving people a unique experience that they came to Linxy for. So 2024 is all about like delivering and deliver in full, and deliver to the businesses and to the B2B2C aspect of it. Give the user something that is sticky and powerful, so that when they do travel and they go to these different events, like networking is no more, like a dreaded thing. It's kind of an excited thing. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to another networking event. And instead of walking into that room of 100 people and seeing one person, and going to that person and spending half your time with that one person, I'm going to look at Linxy for 10 seconds and be like, I got to talk to that person, that person, that person. And so our concept of use technology to lose technology is going to be put to the test in full in 2024. And we're like really excited to see how it plays out. And it's looking promising so far. So we're excited.
That's awesome. I love the tagline. So that's awesome. So monetization, right? Every business is in business to make money. They make money by serving their customers well, right? So you want to serve your customers well to make money, but how do you monetize the product?
Yeah, it's really multifaceted type of model. It's one for the businesses. So we have like hotspots or Linxy locations that are like your coffee shop, co-working and collaboration, as well as several co-working facilities that we've already talked to that are really intrigued, as well as apartment complexes to easier and more fun connect their people at their apartment complex. And so there are subscription models for each one of those businesses, anywhere between $100 to $500 a month, based off the complexity for each business. And then we have events. And so we also hope to facilitate events. We've already been in some white label type conversations, like these event softwares that are like running these large events. If you plug our software into it, there could be, some white label revenue that we gain from it for, $1,000 to $5,000 per event. Also a potential per user there, but we're really starting with the users on this freemium model. And so the third element is this: we get a bunch of users onto the application, and for the first time ever, the people that are most excited about our product, I haven't even spoke about yet, which are the event host and the event coordinators and the marketers, the people that run, just pop-up events and they create events. the biggest challenge, the number one reason, like if you look at the worst jobs in the world or country, like you look at some of these top 10 lists of worst jobs, event host and event coordinator keeps popping up. Well, there's a reason. Connecting people effectively at events is a lot of work. And there's a lot that goes into connecting those people. And so for these event hosts, like pulling all these pieces together is very difficult. And there's no great solution for these event hosts. And so far from what we've gathered, we've met with probably like 50 different event coordinators and hosts. And a couple of them are like joining our team right now because they want to be part of this innovative solution that we're offering to their people. And so we have this like custom admin panel that we're building that offers event hosts this unique way to connect their event attendees at their events in a seamless way that they build, so they can kind of construct this model within our model, and it provides a unique way to connect people at these events. And so that's a premium feature. And so that's like anywhere from a $4 to an $18 a month, depending on the features that they want within the custom admin panel or the premium upgrade. And so we have multiple revenue streams, not to like have all these different revenue streams that can come into the company. But the reality of it is we're in all these conversations with people, and businesses want it. Users even said they would be willing to pay, but we care so much about getting a ton of people on the app, which is really important for our network effect. And so we're giving away the app for free. And then there is this upgrade option for the premium members. And we haven't even talked about the advertising. We have a lot of these businesses already talking about how to advertise within our platform. So if you have this like interactive space that you create for this business, you have this platform to where business can talk to customers and create these unique experiences, some of which every business is a little bit different, the experience they want to create. But we don't want to use advertising right away because we know we care about the user and we don't want to flood them with advertisements. But the long-term play, there's a huge advertisement play in this to be able to give, our premium business advertising potential to drive more people to their location. And that's one thing that even Giddy Goat is already seeing. If you go to Giddy Goat today, you can see stands on their table. You can download the app and you can connect to people in real time. Like, we're already driving people to their location. We've already driven like 100 people to their location. We only have 400 users.
Yeah.
People are going there just to test the application and to try this out and to connect to people. So to have the ability to like dictate where traffic goes for the business is a huge power for Linxy, but to be able to give the individuals and their customers a unique experience, I think is really what people are looking for.
Yeah.
And they're stuck at home working remotely. They're going to Google, like, what activities are going on in Charlotte today? How do I meet new people? Do I really have to go to a bar and drink alcohol, get some liquid courage to connect? Or is there a better solution?
Yeah.
And now there is. And so I know that it's a couple different revenue streams, but all of them right now are like intact to capture revenue within the next like 3 months.
Yeah. So, I always say this, right? We're coming up on the end of time, but as you're sitting there talking about that, I have mixed emotions about like the new Apple Vision thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can almost see how well it would interact. Linxy could interact in that space, right?
Yeah.
Because you talk about the advertising opportunities, also being able to better visualize and see the other users that you've connected with and whatnot. So do you see that as like a positive for Linxy, or do you see it as a negative because it's more technology rather than lack of technology? How do you view, because you can probably see the opportunity set with Linxy within Apple Vision,
Yep.
right?
Yep. And it's been brought up a couple of times.
Yeah.
And, this week we had a really interesting business use case that, I'll come back to the glasses here, is they're wanting us to, if you could do this, we would give you 1,000 a month, if you could offer this. And it was really just pulling users more into the screen. And it really went against our core. And, our team got on our products call of the week and we're talking, and 30 minutes later, we're still hashing out like, but we can make revenue and this can provide a unique experience. And me and, two of our leaders in the company are just like, no, but it goes against our use case. And it really like goes against what we're trying to do, is we're trying to like foster these meaningful connections and seamless connections. And really, we're social beings. We want to help people have better social experiences, and we don't want to plague them with more technology. And so with that product, as we've talked about that, it's just like, could it potentially integrate at some point, or Could there be some synergies there? And yes, but taking humans further into the cyborg lifestyle isn't necessarily something that drives me.
Yeah.
It's very fascinating. One of my hot takes coming into 2024 is this is the year, or this is the decade of transhumanism.
Yeah.
Like, we live in if we're in a competitive capitalistic enterprise system, and you can level yourself up with a microchip or a Neuralink or a jab of some juice that's going to like upgrade you in some way, like, it's going to get interesting of where technology and innovation takes us. But with all this technology, it's clear that other things have been severely impacted, which is the younger generations are struggling from their social capabilities and interaction and mental health. And a lot of these are because we're overdoing the technology. And so our biggest mission is, how do we help, connect the world and become the largest social club where people can get that social being energy that they need. I'm not sure if you've ever studied sociogenomics, but during my journey of going deep into human performance and understanding, some of my chapters were like brain fuel, body fuel, spirit fuel, and social fuel. And as much as people are like, dude, why aren't you teaching like molecular biology or some of these other things? Like, I've coached like human performance. What I'm really passionate about is sociogenomics, which is through like the people that you're around. We all know like the 5 people that you're around are the tells a story of who you are and who you'll become. And I'm a frequency vibration guy through and through. Like, I think there's a ton of science that supports, the people that you surround surround yourself with, create a vibration and energy. And there's the epigenome within the body that tied to sociogenomics. If you have good people in your circle and you have these positive social engagements, that it can literally trigger genetic switches and optimize your actual genetic code. And to me, how you instilling those habits and doing all these things, that's why Linxy is like so powerful to me, is like, how do we give a product to the world that actually, powers individuals with the social interactions that they desire, and really fuels, not actually to like, do I care to fuel everybody's genetic potential? Not necessarily, but I do am passionate about fueling their social well-being and their social connectedness. And especially for the business people that want to like make efficient connections. When you do fly across the country and you go to this event, the worst shame is like not connecting in real time. And so as much as we have a technology to connect humans, we're not trying to plague them further into the technology world. What we're really trying to do is we're really trying to cultivate communities, foster social engagement, and build connection. Because as we all know, COVID further divided us, and politics divide us, and religion divide us. And if we can just like get past those things and like somehow give people this social power, the superpower that they've never had before, to connect them more seamlessly and effectively in real time, I think our world will be in a way better place. We can reduce mental illness. We can reduce so many of the things that are maybe plaguing some of our younger people and that are affecting like the event experience for people as well. So if we integrate with the glasses, we'll see where that goes. But our goal is not to advance the use of technology. It's to barely use it to make those connections.
Nah, it's a great story. I mean, it's a great product. People can download it in Apple Store and Google, or is it Apple only right now, or how can they get it?
Apple and Google.
Apple and Google, and then website's
Live.
Linxy.live. And thoroughly enjoyed the conversation today, Joel.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, Linxy, Linxy.
And we look forward to watching you develop it over the course of the year and seeing it at events here in Charlotte over the course of the next 12 months and beyond. So thanks so much for your time today, and best of luck.
Yeah, William, thanks for having me on.
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
Boom. Wow, that last ramble was good, huh?